Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Mikhail Peters. To follow up with my video yesterday where I talked about how an American can get to Finland, I'm going to answer a question from that same person, which is more about starting a business in Finland, which, to be very honest, I don't think this is something that I am too well versed in speaking on, but I'm going to give you the information that I know, which mostly comes from talking to other people and not so much through trial and error because it's something that I myself have not actually done. But yeah. I'm a little bit discombobulated today. It's a little bit dumpster fire here in my life because I'm trying to get through like 3 weeks worth of dirty laundry and it's really disgusting. And yeah, and I'm just in this state where I don't even know where any of my clothes are, and these are just the downsides of being very migratory. So anyway, that's why I don't know too much more about this business thing, because I looked into it on approximately, what day was it? Like more than a month ago. I want to say around, actually may have been exactly a month ago, like November 10th or something, where I went and spoke to Business Mill, and it's a company, I guess it's a company, that is at LUT campus, like it's stationed there, or like it's headquartered, it's not headquartered, I'm sure, but it has a little office there where you can go talk to the people. And it sort of works together with LUDIS, which is like the Lappeenranta University of Technology Entrepreneurship Society. Yep, that's actually what that stands for. And I like was kind of in that when I was a bachelor student, but now like I'm not really in a lot of things at this point, because anything that requires me socializing with people, I'm kind of strategically avoiding. I was actually thinking about this because here's my tangential ADHD part of the video. I was thinking about this because I ran into a couple of my friends on the sidewalk yesterday, and I kind of get the feeling that this is going to sound really weird. People are like upset that I don't want to spend time with them, which is not necessarily true. It's just like I have to work at weird hours when I can't actually talk to people. So there's that. Okay, but yeah, so it's just a lot. So again, what I'm trying to get at is like, I am not the best person to listen to about this because I'm a little bit discombobulated. That's what I'm trying to explain, but I'm going to tell you what I know and different things I've seen. Let's kind of start with that because I think that might be more interesting. So I used to have this roommate, and she did this thing called the idea race that they host here. Like, I'm just trying to give ideas about, like how one does this theoretically, okay, as a student, because this is the conversation I think that this person wants me to answer, is more about, if you are in Finland on a student visa, can you start a business? Yes. There are restrictions around how many hours you can work. Like, I don't think you can be employed full-time technically and still be a student, although technically I was, but I was a master's thesis worker, so I'm not really sure. That's a little bit different. But like, I don't think I could be working full-time at McDonald's. I think there are restrictions around that technically. They don't like that. I did almost work at McDonald's, by the way, so that's why I'm bringing that up as an example. I like actually really want to, and sometimes I regret that I didn't. But as usual, I was having a hard time coordinating my schedule, so there's that. Okay. So this friend did this thing called the idea race, which is a pitching competition, and it's not just for students. There were a lot of, and I went to this thing, and they have it at the Iso Christina, which is like the mall, and they actually had it in the Finkino, which is the movie theater inside the mall. And they had a bunch of people from the community, again, so not just students, pitch different ideas. Some of them actually had businesses that were already fairly developed, but they were competing for a business grant. So my friend just, like, she had a good pitch, and she ended up getting, like, I think the grant was like 5,000 euros to help move this business along. To be honest, from what I've heard, I don't really know that too much is going on with the business at this point, but so I don't know, like, when they invest that, what kind of return they expect and what they want that to look like. Like, those are details I do not know. All I know is you get 5,000 euros. I think they gave her like an office space or something and like some other type of benefits, maybe like access to different services. And again, Business Mill is the one that I worked with because somebody told me to go talk to them, which I did. And I was like, hey, here's this idea that I have. And then he was like, okay, this is actually a good idea, but you're going to have to change it. And then I have like, basically this is on my like to-do list. I have to like get together a bunch of like financial statements for this and then present it back and then kind of get things rolling in that direction. And he knows I'm here on a student visa technically because I'm a PhD student. I say PhD student because, like, honestly, I'm doing a terrible job at it. But yes, like, I am allowed to start a business here. And Finland really wants people to start businesses because they want to stimulate their economy. Now, one of the things that, you know, like, I've seen kind of on YouTube, and I don't know how true this is because I have not tried to start a business in the US. I've thought about it. I mean, technically my YouTube channel is a business because I do get paid for it, right? But I don't have it like formally established as a business. I have thought about doing that, but I just don't know if it makes sense for tax purposes. So yes, let's talk about taxes. One of the reasons why people do not feel super incentivized to start businesses in Finland is the tax rate is so high. But this is again with working. Like sometimes people don't necessarily want to work higher paying jobs because it's sort of like a wash at a certain point with you could get paid more, but then actually your salary is like the same because you're now in a higher tax bracket. This does happen in the US too. It's like sort of like after taxes, sometimes I make as much as my brother, even though our salaries are like quite different. So yes, tax brackets are a thing, right? And I don't even know where I am in the tax bracket. This is a lot of stuff I'm going to figure out when I do my taxes this year. Okay, so business mill is like, there are different levels of like, we'll grant you this, this, or this, and depending on like how well structured your pitch is, and I don't know like what point they do check-ins, but I know they also do these kinds of like entrepreneurship class things. I don't even know if they cost money. I don't think they do, but there's one that's happening in January. I'm not going to be around, so I can't do that, which sucks, but I actually have a friend who is into this stuff, and she's now started. She was originally in that other business I described with my one friend, the roommate friend, but then now she has started another one herself, and you know, I could talk to her more. Maybe I could interview her or something, but it just sounds like it's really hard. And, you know, obviously, like, it's a lot of like, you know, you're not really going to be making a profit in the first couple of years of a business, like is how it tends to go anyway. So yeah, again, I don't think there are really any restrictions on it. She's not a student anymore. She's in this like searching for work visa class, which like I'm technically still on that class too, even though I now have a job that I don't get paid for. A separate issue. I'm trying to change mine right now. That's also a separate issue. I need to find my passport photos. Okay, anyway, that's besides the point. So, yes, this journey is going to look different for everybody, and I don't really think they care what type of visa you're here on because they really love the whole entrepreneurship thing. Why? Because they want to take your money and put it towards taxes. And it's like free labor for that. Actually, I don't know. I made that up, but it could be. That's my theory. Okay, so another thing I want to show you is I got this from Business Mill. I actually had the 2021 version of this for a while, but now I have the 2023. And what this goes through is it's like, here are all the different insurances that you can get for your business. Here's how taxation works. Here's a cash flow statement. Actually, I should look at this because this is literally what I need to start doing soon. So there's all that. Support for business development. Like, there's a lot of good information here. So yeah, I actually feel like Finland would be a good playground for starting a business, and I'm like thinking about it at this point. I really am. But it's like so far behind on the things I have to do because worrying about my housing situation is pretty up there right now. Yeah, anyway. So I hope that is helpful and makes sense, and that's kind of like the best information that I have right now based on people I've talked to, what I've seen, and like where I am in my own like starting business journey. One other really random anecdote I will talk about is I met this girl when I was in Colorado earlier this year, and she works for one of those like financial advising companies, and she had a client who was American but randomly decided she wanted to move to Finland. So how did she do that? As people say, if you have enough money, you can do anything, and I do mostly agree with that. And so what she ended up doing was she bought some business here that already existed and then just kind of took over that business, and that was how she was able to get a permit, like a residence permit, to stay in Finland. So I will say this is another way around the studying thing. So again, it depends how many, resources you're coming in with, because most countries are not really going to let you not come there if you have a really good way of proving that you're not going to be a financial burden to them. And that's a lot of, I think what Finland is seeing is you have people like, I mean, this is everywhere, right? Like we have this issue in the America, in the US too, where it's like people immigrate, they don't really have the resources to support themselves. They try to take them from the government, and they're like, you're not even supposed to be here. So, I mean, I get it, right? And so it's like, even if I wanted to, trying to get access to those services, like I'm not really entitled to them because I'm not a Finnish citizen. Even like healthcare stuff, I can't really use. It's terrible. I should be able to technically through the university. I don't know, whatever. I just do all my healthcare stuff in the US, even though it's expensive, because I don't understand how it works here. All right, but yeah. So again, lots of different ways. There are a lot of things geared at startups. It's just I still personally have not got past the theoretical part of it into the practical, I'm actually doing this thing part of it. But when I do, I can also like follow up with talking about that. Because like the roommate who I have in Finland right now, we were actually like talking about a business together because we used to be mattress salespeople competitors, and then we started working together, and I was like, why don't we actually like do a different business to work together? Because the idea is trying to help international students get set up. I think it meets a real market need, and like I actually care about this, even though it's like kind of stupid, but well, it's not. It's like actually really practical, which, you know, is great for a business. Because I felt like I was under a lot of stress when I moved here and I had nothing, and I had to like figure out how to get all my crap together really quick. Like, oh, I don't have a mattress. Oh, I don't have a coffee maker. Oh, I don't have a rug. I mean, that's extra, but you know, whatever. Like, so I really like want to do something more geared towards that, but like how do you make that profitable? And that was like what I talked to the business mill guy about. So it depends on what your business is. If there's a market need, I will be very transparent and honest in saying, and this is like not that, you know, surprising, probably going to Helsinki to do this kind of stuff is a better idea because, you know, you just have more resources there. In fact, my friend who I just talked about, the one who like left, I don't know, I guess I don't think she's involved anymore, but went from the one startup idea to the other startup idea. She has been living in Lappeenranta and is actually moving to Helsinki. I think she just literally did, or is going to, I don't know, something like that. She's doing that to stimulate her business. Her business partner is also in Lappeenranta, as far as I know. But yeah, I mean, if she, you know, figures it out at some point, because it's always very confusing when I talk to her about it, which I think is the nature of how startups go, and then they run out of funding, and then they cut people. I mean, yeah, it's really weird and crazy. So, yeah. Okay. So at some point, you can get an entrepreneurship visa, but I'm also not very well versed in that. You would have to look at the migree.fi website. So, I mean, not the worst place to start a business, but in terms of taxes, not the best place either. So if you're like, hey, let me leave the US to go start a business in Finland, I'm going to be really honest in saying it's probably easier to do that in the US. Like the amount of people I see come into the restaurant who pay with their LLC credit cards or debit cards just to take their whole family out to dinner, unless you're counting that as a business dinner because your wife is your business partner, so you're talking about the business there. It's just like, it's like, the things people do with taxes in the US, you're going to get away with a lot more easier there than here. Like, I'm going to be transparent in that. So it's kind of like, what is your goal? Like, do you like Finland? Do you want to be in Finland? Do you care about being in a place where people really care about this startup stuff and entrepreneurship? Or do you want to be somewhere where it's like, I would honestly say like being an independent business owner in the US, probably the success rate, that's what I'm trying to say, is pretty high. And again, I don't really know all these people. Actually, just kidding. My dad owns a business. Like, don't even ask me how it works because I barely understand it myself. But yeah, it's like pretty easy to open a business in the US, like from what I understand. But again, the success rate of these things and at what point is the liability, I don't know. Like, I really would need to get more information. But again, I hope that's helpful. Just getting ranty, so I'm going to stop there, and I want to try and go running before it gets dark out in probably like half an hour. I really hate this. All right, so that's everything for today, and until my next video, bye.